Poetry for poetry's sake. Hello everyone, welcome back to Real Literature and Random Videos by Neha Sultana. आज की इस वीडियो में हम देखेंगे क्रिटिकल थ्योरी की एक टॉपिक जो है पोएट्री फॉर पोएट्री सेक जिसको एसी ब्रैडली ने लिखा था। तो वीडियो स्टार्ट करने से पहले मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ, अगर आप चैनल पर न्यू हो तो लाइक करिए, शेयर करिए, कमेंट करिए, सब्सक्राइब भी करिए और बेल नोटिफिकेशन को टर्न ऑन कीजिए। तो इंट्रोडक्शन में मैं इस वीडियो में सिर्फ रीड करूँगी मेरे नोट्स को। अगर आपको इसका एक्सप्लेनेशन होना है तो इस वीडियो पे अगर 50 कमेंट्स आ जाते हैं तो मैं एक्सप्लेनेशन वाली वीडियो भी बनाऊँगी। तो चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं इंट्रोडक्शन से। पोएट्री फॉर पोएट्रीज सेक was an inaugural lecture given at Oxford University by the English literary scholar Andrew Cecily Bradley on June 5, 1901 and published the same year by Oxford at the Clarendon Press. It is about how the main topic or subject of a poem is important, and you can't say a poem is good just based on how it looks or what it's about. It's about finding a balance between what the poem says and how it says it. Bradley is saying that a poem is the collection of experiences like the feelings, thoughts and images that we go through when we read it in a poetic way. He also mentions that these experiences can be different for each person and can change over time. A poem is considered valuable if it sparks our imagination, even if it doesn't necessarily teach us something or make us think about moral or social issues. Poetry can have a different purpose, like supporting a good cause or making the poet famous, but the purpose don't determine its poetic value. Basically, reading a poem is a meaningful experience in itself, and that's what matters to Bradley. To experience a poem, you have to step into its world, follow its rules, and forget about your own beliefs and reality for a while. Poetry creates its own unique world, separates from our everyday life. Poetry is not meant to be a perfect copy of reality. It's something different. It's not life, but it's also not just a mirror reflecting life. The main goal of poetry is to captivate your imagination, unlike real life, which often falls short in sparking our imagination. Bradley has a unique view of what a poem is about. He separates the poem's subject, what it's about, from the poem itself. He argues that the real value of poetry is in the poem itself, not just the topic it covers. The main purpose of poetry is to engage and satisfy our imagination, which is different from real life, because real often doesn't fulfill our imaginative desires. Bradley, in his view, defines the subject of a poem as something different from what the poem is actually about. He argues that the real value of a poem is in the poem itself and not so much in the subject it talks about. This means that a great poem can be about something seemingly unimportant, while a not so great poem might talk about an important or interesting subject. A good poem can be composed on any subject through the general audience may perceive a certain subject as unworthy. He agrees with the formalist who say that any subject can be the basis for a poem. However, he also believes that the quality of a poem doesn't depend on the subject alone. For example, you could write a bad poem about something important like the fall of man, and you could write a good poem about something as simple as the head of pin. Bradley argues that the subject can offer more possibilities for artistic expression, but it doesn't automatically make a poem good or bad. Certain topics naturally trigger strong feelings and captures our imagination more than others. Bradley, in his explanation, uses the word substance to mean what we usually call the subject of something. He uses Paradise Lost by John Milton as an example. The argument about the value of poetry can be seen in two ways. Some says it's all about how the words sound and are structured, while others think it's all about the ideas and images in the poem. But in reality, both form and substance matter in a poem, and you can't really talk about one without considering the other. When we read a poem, we enjoy both the meaning of the words and how they sound together. The way the words are structured can also affect the meaning, and vice versa. Because the meaning is linked to both what you say and how you say it. A poet only learns his intention after the poem is completed. For if he knew what he meant to say before writing the poem would already be written. To change the words of a poem is to change its meaning. For example, if we take the famous line from Hamlet, to be or not to be, that is the question, and rephrase it as, what I'm thinking about right now is whether it's better to keep living or end my life. It technically means the same thing, but it alters how we see Hamlet and the poem itself. When you translate a poem, it might convey a similar meaning, but it won't capture the same feeling or imagery because the sound of words affects the mental pictures they create. For instance, Bradley translates a line from Virgil's the Aeneid as and were stretching forth their hands in longing for the further bank, but it loses some of the original charm for various reasons. So the video comes to end. I hope you all like this video, and if you found this video really helpful, then do lots of thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and press the bell notification and do comments. See you in the next video. Bye bye.